Hello, and welcome to another episode of Executive Suite. And today we have Finite Helical Dynamics CEO and founder Francois Hebert. Uh, Finite Helical Dynamics is an engineering firm. And I'm going to let Francois describe it for us and tell us what kind of services they offer. Francois, go ahead, please.
Good morning, Thomas, and thank you for the meeting this morning. Yes, my company, Finite Helical Dynamics, is a tech company based in Vancouver, British Columbia. We own the trademarks that cover both the consultancy and the contracting. We work with private clients as well as government entities, and we've been in business since July 2016. The road has been rather difficult to establish ourselves. But as of right now, we are both working with private clients as well as developing our own line of product. This stands for both the commercial and the governmental branches.
Okay. So can you tell us what are your main areas of expertise?
Yes, definitely. My background is mechanical engineering. I graduated in 2003. And since then, I worked in the industry related to engineering design and engineering design, manufacturing, and construction, which is a very wide um, discipline, mainly called mechanical engineering. For a normal person, they are not familiar with the terms, but when it comes to our services, we get involved with companies to provide them with intellectual properties related to the design, the manufacturing, and the installation of a new project, which doesn't make any sense, of a new parts, a new machine, a new component of a machine, or anything related to a mechanical system inside a building. Now, that may not answer your question. It's still quite wide of a field, but for a normal person, we get involved into the design of a system or a component, and we also get involved with the cost management and the installation of the same component. So most of the time we do the design from A to Z, and we also get involved into the installation and the commissioning of these components.
So can you give me some examples of projects that you worked on, notable projects that you would like to share with us?
Yes, definitely. It's been very hard to make our name into the industry. Since 2016, I have tapped into all type of projects, mainly the private industries, working with individuals who were looking to develop their own prototypes. But since the pandemic, this line of work has dried up. There's a significantly lesser amount of people with money to spend and design their own product, and therefore we were also involved with government project, mainly trying to work with the medical, or let's just say hospital work in the lower mainland in Vancouver, British Columbia. And once again, that may be extremely wide, but we get involved as the designer, the project manager, and the installers for components, into heavy machinery. And that can be anything. So, for instance, a surgery room in a hospital, a dental office in a private practice. Um, that can be the component of a vehicle for a private client, or just like I'm trying to establish right now, a very large scale amount of components for the automotive industry.
Right. So that's interesting. If I needed to build a an operating room in a doctor's office, for example, let's say a plastic surgeon who has their own operating room. Is that what you're talking about? building something that has
That's
the
correct.
air pressure, so it's kind of like a clean room.
That's correct. In fact, these system or these HVAC system are rather intricate, especially for surgery rooms where they must be, sterile and in good condition. Um, this line of work is rather difficult. The competition is harsh and very difficult to achieve traction into this industry, whereas I'm putting a lot of energy into bidding onto these jobs. I rub shoulder with architects and engineers all the time, but it looks like these projects are very difficult to land, and the competition is very fierce.
So I'm interested in what you're talking about with the prototyping. And so I'm wondering if that has dried up, is that's perhaps related to the general economic environment for startup companies and the difficulty people are having in raising money for new startup companies. Is
Yes.
that seems to be the problem?
Absolutely. And I'd be very happy to deal with startups and do their prototypes, but I cannot lie, there is no such work out there. Since the pandemic, most companies has either closed their door or simply pivoted towards a new line of product. Now, in the past, pre-pandemic, we were rather busy getting involved with the small-time inventors, people who had dreamed of a product or an invention their entire life. They didn't have the know-how or the infrastructure to build or design and build these components or these machines. And they came to us as an expert to put them on the right track, to be able to come up with a finished product. But just like you mentioned, it looks like startups are butting their heads with financing. Financing is very hard to obtain for myself as well. And in terms of private clients, people no longer mortgage their house for building a prototype,
Yeah. Well, maybe they've already mortgaged their house. There's nothing left to mortgage.
probably.
Um, yeah, it's I think one of the problems there is that you've got with that um what I guess we could call the venture market is that with the growth of cryptocurrency, it's sucking out a huge amount of risk capital from the market. So you look at that $1 trillion valuation for Bitcoin now. Bitcoin has a market cap of $1 trillion. Um, that's money that people would otherwise be investing in these kind of new ventures because they're willing to risk their money, but they want to get so like a 10x ROI. And so I think that's one of the problems. Uh, then I guess there might be some other structural problems. Even with the junior gold mining companies, gold's been going up, 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 but the junior gold mining companies haven't been. People just aren't willing to be patient and take their time. So I guess that's one of the problems. Um, but it's something I'd like to explore a bit further with you, in case anyone who's listening, because this is a podcast for startups and entrepreneurs, and prototyping does start quite often if it's a mechanical device with making up mechanical drawings that you can manufacture from. And I'm just wondering, do you give estimates for these things based on like an hourly cost? Because some engineering firms, they'll say, well, we think this will take 1,000 hours and it's $200 an hour. So it's $200,000 just to make up the drawings for your prototype. Is that how all engineering firms work?
I would say yes. Myself, I don't call myself an engineer, although I got a background in engineering. I'm mainly an entrepreneur, business person. Um, in terms of pricing, I think I'm definitely competitive against engineering firm. Most of the time, we also bid per hours, just like you mentioned, for the bigger firms. But we give lump sum pricing. We're trying to get fair and transparent with our clients. Most of the time, if somebody come up to me and say, look, this firm quoted this amount for this amount of work, I'll try to come up with either a better price or added value, something that would make a significant improvement to my client's project. Um, Once again, it really depends. It's a difficult question because it's related to my business plan. And when I meet with the bank, the first thing the bank will say is a business plan. My business plan is not a retail business plan. So we don't sell one unit to get one unit of profit. It's very difficult. It's very intricate. We get projects at all stages. We don't always start at A. Sometimes we can take over a project that's already at E, needs to be carried all the way to Z, but only on a consultancy standpoint. And then they want to end the projects there. Some people just want to know the cost of things to contemplate and then make a better educated decision. Um, when it comes to big engineering firms, um, I feel they may have a leverage against their expertise. They're capable to charge the full $200 an hour, for instance, for 1,000 hour. But this is not how we price our projects. So what we're trying to do piecework, trying to work with these clients that come knocking at our door and offer them added value wherever I can. And most of the time, the price is a huge deterrence because just like you and me, Thomas, if I ask you for $300,000 up front, you would hardly be able to do it. The majority of people are not capable to do that type of expense. So the way I've built it is as opposed of trying to build them a big projects, I define the scope of work under multiple phases and I break down the cost under multiple phases. And that really helps because many private clients like to purchase just the beginning of the job, trying to understand better the costs, what they're facing, and then sometime and most of the time they decide not to go ahead with spending, millions of dollars up front. Since just like you mentioned, they're looking for ROE in the 10x, and they definitely don't know the risk they're exposed to when they start a prototype.
So, how do you then go? So let's say the first step is you make up these CAD CAM drawings, and then how do you go from there to building the alpha prototype?
Yes, and thank you. So, what I've done with my background, I've been involved with the design from the ground up. But just before we go ahead with building the thing, I always hire an independent engineer to do to basically checking the drawings, checking the design, as well as approving it. And that gives us an additional level of safety when it comes to liability, because in Canada, engineers are liable of their work. And therefore, this is one way I mitigate the liability on my company is to hire independent engineers to approve our design beforehand.
Okay, but then who's going to actually build the prototype? Is that something that your firm handles, or do you only do the design work?
That's correct. We do either or both. Once we complete the design and the design is approved by the engineer, we know it's feasible. We need to do another round of approval going with the client to determine if they have the budget to actually build the prototype. And most of the time, it's a rather steep step We're talking about a lot of money, in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. Um, and these steps also take many months to move on. So once we get an approval on the design and the engineers as approved, we are the contractor to design the what they call the shop drawings, which is the final version of the design, and we will be fabricating and commissioning the prototype ourselves.
Hmm. Okay. And so, have what kind of prototypes have you worked on in the past? Like, can you give us an idea of the different sectors? Have these been robotic things for the food industry, or what?
Yes, for the members of the public, it's called robotics, but for expert, it's called industrial automation. And I would be very careful calling it AI. Of course, I'd love to be an AI guru, but the reality of things is we do industrial automation, and the best example is the food industry, and mainly for the pet food industry, where in Vancouver, British Columbia, there is small companies that manufacture their own pet food for the local industry, and we work closely with these people to upgrade their plant or upgrade their facility to be highly effective into their portioning and the quality control. Um, when it comes to robotic, the best example I can give you is we work with pumps, and sometimes it can be a slurry pump, it can be any type of pump, it can be a pet food pump. What do I know? And we get involved with the design and the commissioning of these pumps, including the installation all over the Lower Mainland.
Oh, well, that's very interesting. So, I may have a potential client for you in the food automation business. So, I think we're getting towards the end of this episode now. Is there anything else you wanted to share with us before we close up this episode?
Yes, once again, Thomas, thank you so much. I mean, um, we're open for business. I want people to know they are welcome to call. I welcome all type of inquiries, cold call, cold emails, you name it. If I can help, I will let you know. And if I'm not capable, of course, I'll do my best to provide these people with a referral to help them resolve their problems. I really welcome this opportunity for the podcast, and I really hope we can get to see each other once again.
Right. And your website was finitehelicaldynamics.ca. I'll follow up with you offline on my particular referral. And thanks everyone for joining us today. If you've watched this podcast, um, we're going to say goodbye now, and have a nice day.
Thank you, Thomas.